Hey everybody, today, find inverse functions. So we learned what inverse functions were. That's where we go in reverse order, right? We take our output and then we get our input. And now we gotta find what those functions are. So what I'm gonna do, here's what I do. I start with my g of x here, right? And I replace g of x with y. So this becomes y equals 3x to the fourth. Because remember, g of x, just another name for y. I'm going to swap out the y and x. So instead of y equals, it's going to be x equals 3. Instead of x to the fourth, it's going to be y to the fourth plus 10. And now my goal is to get y by itself. So I have a 3 times to the fourth power and a plus 10. So I have to figure out what I get rid of first. And I do reverse order of operations, so I get rid of the 10 first. So subtract 10 from both sides. So this becomes x minus 10 equals 3y to the fourth power. Reverse order of operations says we divide both sides by 3. That goes away. So I have x minus 10 over 3 equals y to the fourth. And now to get rid of a fourth power, I take a fourth root on both sides. So fourth power gets rid of a fourth root. So now I have the fourth root of x minus 10 over 3 equals y. So my inverse g inverse x is just this part right here. Okay, so now how do I type that thing in? Well, how I type it in is I'm going to say that the fourth root is the same as something to the 1/4 power. So that means x minus 10 over 3 to the 1/4 power. That's the same thing as fourth root. So parentheses for the root, parentheses for the top, x minus 10 over 3, parentheses to the parentheses for the power because I have two factors in there, 1/4 power. That should be it. Well, all right. Cool. Next. What is the inverse function of g of x equals 7x plus 3? Again, what do? Replace this thing with a y. That will equal 7x plus 3 over x minus 5. Swap out the y. So you're like, whoa, there's like two x's. Yep. So y gets replaced with x, and every x gets replaced with a y. Okay, so it might be, we'll talk about how to do this. This isn't too bad. Honestly, it isn't. So because I have a y on top and y on bottom, what I'm going to do is basically turn this thing into a fraction and then cross multiply. Because remember, the goal is to get y by itself. So cross multiply. So when I cross multiply this way, that's pretty easy. 1 times 7y plus 3 is 7y plus 3. That will equal x times y minus 5. So I have to distribute the x through. So I get y times x minus 5 times x. Okay. Now, I want to get all the y's on one side and everything without a y on the other side. So I'm going to move this yx to the left and move this minus 3 to the, or plus 3 to the right. I move it with a minus 3 though, right? So minus 3, that goes away. And then minus yx, that goes away. So I get 7y minus yx. These are not like terms because this has an x in it, this doesn't. So I just have to leave it for now. 7y minus yx equals negative 5x minus 3. So now what I'm going to do, since I have a y in this term and a y in this term, I'm going to factor a y out. So I'll factor y to here, y to here. Factor y out. If I factor y out of a 7y, it leaves a 7. If I factor y out of a minus yx, it leaves minus x. That will still equal negative 5x minus 3. I want to get y by itself, so I need to divide both sides by 7 minus x. So this will go away. This does not simplify or anything. So my answer is negative 5x minus 3 over 7 minus x. Probably the hardest type of problem you'll see is when you have two different y's and you got to figure out what to do. Factor a y out. So parentheses for the top, negative 5x minus 3 divided by parentheses for the bottom, 7 minus x. And I get that. Boom, shakalaka. Getting tired, so that's why. Hey, another one of those hard problems we just talked about. Replace f of x with a y. Swap out x's and y's, so this now becomes, we're going to do some shortcuts here because we've done two of them. We're just about experts at these. So I'm replacing, right, so let's get rid of this. We'll put a y in there. That'll be easier. Replace the y with an x. Replace every x with a y. Oh, that should be a y, right? Replace every x with a y. Turn this thing into a fraction. Cross multiply. 1 times negative 2y plus 2 is negative 2y plus 2. X times y plus 7 is yx plus 7x. Move all my y's to the left, so negative 2y minus yx. Move everything else to the right, so that equals 7x minus 2. Factor a y out of here. That leaves me with negative 2 minus x equals 7x minus 2. Divide both sides by negative 2 minus x. This will go away, leaves me with y equals 7x minus 2 over negative 2 minus x. So, parentheses on top, 7x minus 2 divided by parentheses on the bottom, negative 2 minus x. That's all there is to it. Let's take a look at this one. So we're going to replace g of x with y. We're going to swap the x's with y's. This minus 4 is outside the fifth root, and now we're going to solve for y. I do a reverse order of operations, so I need to get rid of the 4 first. I do that by adding 4 to both sides. What gets rid of a fifth root? What gets rid of a fifth root is a fifth power. So now I have x plus 4 to the fifth power equals fifth root, right? What I say, fifth root cancels with fifth power, leave me with 14 minus 2y. I'm going to subtract 14 because I'm doing reverse order of operations, so I'm solving for y now. I get x plus 4 to the fifth power minus 14 equals negative 2y. And then I divide both sides by negative 2. And so my answer is this thing right here. Okay. So I'm going to need a parenthesis for my top, a parenthesis for the x plus 4 to the fifth power minus 14 divided by, since there's only one term at the bottom, I don't need a parenthesis for it. If you wanted to, you could put it in there. So you're like, hey, I said negative 2, right? And it put in my negative. It's fine. It's just trying to simplify a little bit. but it's fine. Alright, this is going to be the easiest one you'll ever do in your entire life. Replace f of x with y. Swap the x's and y's, so now it becomes x equals 3y minus 2. Get y by itself. Add 2 to both sides. Equals 3y. Divide both sides by 3. X plus 2 over 3 equals y. That's it. Parenthesis for my top, which is x plus 2 divided by 3. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. Good luck.